There she is. We do it?
Hi.
Hey, how are you, Krista?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, you're so welcome. Look at
Do
all
you get
those mugs in the back. Do you drink your coffee?
uh, I am a collector.
Yeah.
I collect, well, I used to collect beer mugs and shot glasses and beer steins.
Oh, I love it. Hi, Peacock. My
So
friend
as you
Peacock
can
on.
see, there's some there. This is not even half of my collection. There's
Love
some
it.
there, up there.
I collect crystals. They're all around me.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I got some crystals right here, actually.
Beautiful. How is it in Hawaii today?
Oh, it's super hot.
So it has been snowing all day here in Colorado. It's a winter
Man,
wonderland.
I think, I've only been to Colorado twice. It was for my niece when she graduated from college. I love the snow. I love the cold. But coming back to Hawaii, oh man, and the humidity, you travel.
Yeah, I've got my humidifier on in here because we need that to live.
Gotcha.
I'm still always an island girl at heart. So
I think that's so cool. I mean, we talked about. I don't believe things happen coincidentally. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that there is a reason why we uh, actually connect with people. And in this journey with myself and Grizz since last June, we've connected with certain people, and we've also lost connections with some. But there was always something that we needed to work on together. There was always
yeah.
something that we needed to discover together.
Mm-hmm.
And once that was done, the connection was finished, but still remains as friends.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Craig. I see Craig Olson joined.
We'll get
Yeah.
started in just a minute. How was did you have to perform tonight?
Oh no, I had a different kind of work today. Yeah.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but I have been focused on the new song release and promoting that. And you saw the new video that I released. Was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
I believe it was yesterday. Yeah. Oh, beautiful song. I don't know if you can hear it, but I have it playing in the background.
Oh, I love it.
We'll see if YouTube let us put it on.
Might not. Yeah, it's kind of garbly.
It's because of my earbuds.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if I can do this.
Ah, Peacock. I love that. This song feels pink to me. Pink like everything right now.
We're going to give it a little shout out for a little bit.
We're just going to play the whole thing.
No, we can't. I'd love to, but we can't.
some kind of way of thinking. This time I might stay a while.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Let's
you.
see if I'm connected.
Yeah.
Oh, I may have to go without this. Okay.
Yeah, probably. That's okay. We could chat.
All right, we'll get started. Let me turn up the volume on my phone. Actually, let's see if I can do this. We're going to switch up a little bit, and then we'll get started. Sorry, we are very small time here.
I love it.
I don't have a team behind me going, all right, we're switching over audio. Okay, you can use your ear.
Always something to work towards. Oh, and now we lost you. I told you it's Mercury retrograde. Right, Peacock? It's Mercury retrograde. You're very crackly. Oh boy. Yes, Peacock, patience. Hi, Todd. Oh, there we go. Okay, no more crackles. That's better.
Okay, we're going to
Now,
do this.
this is what I
All
meant.
right.
This is what I meant about Mercury retrograde. There's always some glitches. You know, you just gotta expect it. It's like Peacock said, patience. We gotta have patience and try to communicate extra well.
It is a small time podcast trying to get off the ground here, but we'll get started. It is about 10 after 5 here in Hawaii. Welcome to our weekly podcast. Today is April 22nd, 2023. Our guest tonight is a singer-songwriter. We did connect a few days ago, and there's things I found out about her that was just unbelievable. And we were talking earlier how things aren't coincidental. But I'd like to welcome our guest, Krista Herring. Krista, welcome to our podcast.
Oh,
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, okay.
So, Krista, we want to go over a few things real quick. Singer-songwriter. You are on Instagram as well as, I think, YouTube. So if you're not following her on Instagram or YouTube, please go give her a subscription there. There's some really good, great original music that you put out on YouTube. Love it. Absolutely love it. We were listening to your newest single that has been released. I know you posted it yesterday. Some Kind of Way. Really nice song. The video, really nice. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of hard work.
Your music can it be found on, I saw on some of your posts on Spotify?
It can be found anywhere that you listen to music. Absolutely. Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, Apple, all the things. Yeah.
And I saw that you had mentioned Bandcamp on this latest single coming up.
Oh, yeah. All my music's on Bandcamp as well. That's the best place to donate directly to the artist. So anything that you send me will come to me directly, as opposed to, like, you know, that's if you want to download the song, which a lot of people don't do anymore, and that's totally fine. It really helps us when you follow and listen on Spotify too, and share with your friends if you love something, you know, that super helps. But yeah, you know, as opposed to getting like a fraction of a cent in royalties, you can also download the song.
I see. I did see some of your songs. You had a couple of songs. I think the first one was Guardians about 5 years ago. And also Like Water, streamed over 120,000 on Spotify.
Yeah, I haven't looked, but that's amazing. Yeah.
I think Fine Wine as well was another one about 4 years ago, over 100,000 streamed on Spotify as well. That's amazing.
Actually, those are both released on the same album 2 years ago.
2 years,
Yeah.
years ago. Okay. Okay. I was looking at your posts and looking at the dates, but that's so cool. I actually got a chance to listen to about your first album, and then maybe 8 or 9 songs after that. I
Oh, my
think I
first
told you which one was
album?
my favorite.
Are you sure it was my first album? That was from 2009. I don't
On
think
YouTube,
I'm willing to bet you haven't heard that one yet.
I think on YouTube you have one that has 10 songs on it. Very
Oh
first song.
yeah,
What is it?
lay it
Shine?
lay it down.
Lay It Down is a great song. Great.
Yeah, Lay It Down is the name of the album. And then there's an EP from 2014 called Shine. Yeah.
Shine.
Hmm.
Yeah. That one was good. That was a really good album. Um, I kind of went through it 2 nights ago, listening to some of your songs. I got a chance to download one of them, some kind of way. And the other song that I really liked, I think I asked if I could post it, was I Lost Myself.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's a really special song. There's a story behind it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Peacock. Um, yeah, I actually was going into the studio. I was about to go into the studio the next day to record Like Water, to record that album. And it was going to be an EP. But then I like sat down and I just had to get something out. And I just sat down really to meditate with my guitar. So I just, played and I like allowed whatever wanted to be. And then that song came out. And I was a little like, oh, I don't know if it's good or, if it's finished or whatever. And I sent it to my producer friend, Josh, and let him, and I was like, what do you think? And he was like, we have to record this. Like, just, so the next day I went in and recorded it live. So we have just one take and there's a video on YouTube and on Facebook, I believe, like of that. So yeah, it was the first one we recorded on that, and then it turned it into an album. So
yeah, that one was really good. That one it hit me hard. That one was nice. That song was really nice. I think if I was listening to the lyrics correctly, I think we've all kind of experienced the same thing about what you're singing at some point in our lives. And man, it can be some of the toughest emotions to deal with if we don't know how to find that help or that release or a way to remove that from our lives. I think music, for one thing, is a beautiful way to remove emotions from your life, pack it away in a song maybe, and put it on the shelf. And that's this part of my life. That is this part of my life.
I think of it just slightly differently, almost the same. So I look at it like a channeling of like an honoring of this like messy human experience, and just like giving it a place and honor, turning it into art. And that in itself releases it, turns you into the creator instead of, the victim of whatever you're feeling or whatnot. And it's so beautiful, really, this like challenging, difficult, like heartbreaking sometimes life, right? Gosh, like art and music is just such a beautiful way to give honor and release and move through those experiences. And that's why I do it. It's absolutely medicine for me. And I always hope that it will be medicine for others.
Yeah, Peacock just said music is such pure medicine.
Peacock,
I've never heard that before.
Yes. And hi, Brett. Brett's here as well. So nice to see you. Your little icon.
I think I mentioned to you yesterday that there's this calmness about you that I picked up on, I sensed, and honestly, I'll be totally honest, I haven't felt that serenity, and not just contentment, but such a peacefulness in a person, in where they're at in their lives, and anyone else before. And I was like, man, I'd like to be like that someday. I'd like to have that kind of peace in my life where it shines so bright that I don't have to say anything. I just be me. I'm me. I present music. I present what I create. I help when I can, but there is such a stillness, a silence, a calmness about you.
Hmm.
I never felt that before. I thought that was very unique in a person.
That's a beautiful compliment. Thank you. It doesn't
Yeah,
always feel like stillness, right? It's the storms come through, and I write a lot about storms as well. You know, I write a lot about water in general, but
right.
storm is another theme that I write about. And yeah, I mean, it's through those storms that we learn to find that calm, right? Like, I feel like this whole journey is just about learning to love ourselves, whether it's, you know, in our art, whether it's through our relationships. It's not easy, right? Yeah.
I think I heard you say in one of your posts about you were on a podcast, and I caught the tail end of what you were saying, but you said this, and I agree with you on this, so I'm bringing it up. There's a messiness of being a human, and I agree
Oh,
with that.
yes.
I think in another conversation with another guest that we had a couple of weeks back, we talked about a lot about love. We talked a lot about guidance, and I had said to her that I had to come to a realization that not everything in life is love and light. Not everything. There has to be darkness, unfortunately, so we can recognize the light. But man, sometimes it can be so. And like I said earlier, if we don't find a way to have that darkness taken away, that emotion, that really traumatizing emotion taken out of our lives, whether it be through music, through meditation, through journaling, through crystals, whatever, or even painting or drawing. Um, it's hard, and I was one of those that was caught in that for years. You know, I didn't have that. I didn't know where to go to find help. I tried the traditional ways,
Mm-hmm.
didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't want to do
Right.
medication. That wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was introduced to the spiritual side. I was introduced to crystals, to meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's something we talked about the last couple of days that we've been messaging. But I have a few questions if it's okay.
Shoot.
All right. First question. Just so you know, every guest gets about 3 pages of notes. So I made my notes last night. I got about 3 pages full, but we're going to go with our questions. Have you always known that you wanted to be a singer-songwriter?
Well, always. I don't know about always, but I can say that I've always sung. There's probably footage, old school, you know, handheld cam footage, right? On a VHS tape somewhere of me like 4 years old, like singing to my peas about rainbows in the sky or something. um, and I've always been a writer. I'll say that. I was writing poetry from a young age. My grandmother always, you know, um, supported me in that. Um, and I grew up, I think I mentioned maybe to you that I grew up, I lived with my grandparents at a younger age for a certain amount of years. So, and so there was my grandma, and she supported me like in my writing, and my grandpa, who, you know, is from Hawaii, from Maui. And he always would, you know, play music like Hawaiian music or Brother Is or whatever, like on the record player, and tend to his garden. And he was just a quiet, soft spoken man. And what was the question?
So I think I'll answer it for you. Music has always been a part of your
uh
life in
yeah,
one way or another,
yeah.
but writing is where you started.
So yeah, and I even remember writing some ridiculous songs, like, you know, when I was younger. So what I would say is like about 16 is when I first learned to play the guitar. So I, of course, was writing poetry and in my angst and my whatever, figuring out life. Always a spiritual person. So as soon as I picked up the guitar, learned the first couple of songs or chords, I started writing songs immediately. And at that time, they were very spiritually oriented. I think actually, I can remember the first two song names that I've ever written. And the first one I wrote for a girlfriend of mine who ran away from home, and it was called On the Road, which actually, when I think about now, I've never thought about this. Anybody who knows me knows that, like, I've probably moved like 80 times in my life. So that's sort of funny. And then the second one was called Great Spirit, actually.
Oh, wow.
So it was a prayer. Yeah. Yeah, it was a prayer. So my songs started out that way. They've always been medicine for me. And they just evolved over the years. Yeah, so first and foremost, they're medicine for myself. And yeah, and then you learn the craft. And but I would say that as soon as I did pick up the guitar and started writing songs and started performing, actually in the same year, I knew pretty quickly that that's what I wanted to do. And amazingly, I stayed true to it all these years. We won't talk about how many years that is.
That's what it is. Wait, I'm going to scratch that one off my list and hold on.
Yeah.
I won't ask how long you've been singing. Okay. That was the next question.
Nope.
So, I've been told by other artists, there's this friend of mine who's a painter. There's another friend of mine who is a singer, not necessarily a songwriter. But I asked the question, what inspires you to create an art piece? What inspires you to sing this certain cover? What inspires you to do this kind of art? So I ask you, what inspires you to write a song? Is it something where it's a life event that you've just experienced? Is it a connection that you've made? Is it a story of history that you've heard? Or is it a divine divine knowledge where the universe says, okay, now you're going to write this song, Krista, and this song is going to be your most popular, most productive, most prosperous song. Here's the song you're going to write. What inspires Krista?
And I'll say, of course, everyone's different. Generally, the kind of artist I am and what inspires me tends to be, like we talked about earlier, the human experience, emotional experiences, right? So I'm definitely more of an emotive writer. So when I'm experiencing something and trying to integrate it or trying to process it, sometimes it really helps to like bring out the guitar, and I might feel into what chords resonate, if that makes sense. And literally that resonation, if that's a word, like reverberates through me, and then words start to come out. So sometimes I don't even know. I have no idea. It's just, I feel like sometimes it feels like a channel. Sometimes I feel like a channel where it's just like, oh, there's something that just wants to come through me. I don't even know what it is. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. And all the songs are different, and they tell me what they want to. Just like I mentioned, the song that you really love, I Lost Myself. That one, sometimes I go, I don't know if this is done. I can't see things clearly myself, and I'll send it to someone else and be like, what do you think? And oftentimes they're like, no, it's perfect. But sometimes, yeah, like sometimes it might be a more traditional, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Sometimes there's no bridge. Sometimes the chorus is not even a chorus. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just different. Anyway, but yeah, what inspires me is human relationships a lot. So I like to joke and say that I write songs about codependence and water. Sometimes together.
Yeah.
It can be. It can be. I know, and you just talked about this now, but each song has a certain message or certain meaning. Um, and I know a lot of artists will not do this, especially people who write or create. And we who may not be in your shoes, may not create the same as you, there's a curiosity of asking if you had to pick one that is one of your most cherished or your most favorite. Would you, and which one?
Oh.
See?
That's like picking amongst your children, you know?
Yeah, I
there's,
agree.
there's one for every time. In fact, I just pulled one up today that no one's heard. It's called Borrowed Time. And it's a beautiful song. And I just was like, oh, God, I just need to hear this. And for some other reason that I will not disclose. But, and it's not recorded. I have hundreds of songs that aren't recorded. But, you know, it just provided me medicine in that moment. That sounds sort of funny that I have to pull up my old songs. Yes, Peacock. Yeah, maybe I'll send it to you. He says he wants to hear. I know there's so many, and they're like recorded on my iPhone and over the years, and yeah. So I can't say really that I have like a favorite. I do really. I mean, I love them all. I really loved the Like Water album. I loved everything on there. Honestly, it's just like, and that's the first album that I essentially produced. I co-produced it, but essentially produced it, and so it's my baby, so I love it.
I get it. I get it. And as I was writing this question, I was like, I'm going to hear the answer. I can't pick a favorite because they're like my children. I can't pick a favorite. Yeah. So I kind of knew it going into that, but I needed to ask. I tried to rephrase the question, but I needed to ask. What's the most difficult part about writing a song?
Getting out of the way. Just getting my there's like a fine line between using the skills that you've learned that as you've honed the craft, but also letting the song be what it wants to be and be in the shape that it wants to be and tell the story that it wants to tell. So,
Man,
yeah.
You really have to be connected spiritually to understand that. I think we get in our own way, and we are the biggest obstacles to us moving forward more than anything else. I think we become the biggest obstacles, whether it be fear or doubt or feeling the fear of judgment or the fear of discrimination. We become the biggest obstacles. I like that answer.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I saw in one of your songs, I think it was, I have it here, Lay Me Down. I was watching your so I like that song a lot, and I had to ask, the tuning on your guitar is that like an open C?
Open D.
Open D.
Uh-huh.
Very nice.
One of my favorite tunings. Yeah, that song is not recorded either.
Really?
No, that one's just on YouTube. Yeah, and it is one of my favorite songs, and I have yet to record that one, so hopefully soon. And I actually have a couple of other ones in that tuning that are intended to be recorded as part of this next collection that we're working on, that we're releasing singles for right now. So it is one of my favorite tunings. Guardians is also in that tuning, and so is Who We Are.
So there's an upcoming album then coming, possibly?
Yes, ish. I mean, in this day and age, like you just release singles. It's the smartest thing to do. You know what I found when I released my last album? I released like 4 singles, and then I released the rest of the album. And what ends up happening is that songs get lost. You know what I mean?
Oh,
get as much love as like the first. So one of the reasons you'll see like some of those songs, like Fine Wine was the first release, and Tidal Wave and all that, and they'll be really high, much higher than the rest of them, such as your favorite, one of my favorites, I Lost Myself, right? It's the last song on the album. People love that song. I love that song, but it didn't get quite as much like promotion as the other ones did, just by the nature of it. So it's a lot of being an indie artist nowadays is like you have to have strategy too to kind of get stuff out. So I'm releasing a lot of singles, and then maybe at the end it becomes a collection of songs, which would be called Saving Grace. So that was the intention. And Saving Grace is a song too, which will be coming out. The next one coming out, hopefully in the next couple months, is called Still Strong. I think you'll love them both. Actually, Still Strong, I recall, I first performed it out in Hawaii when I was playing at a festival on the Big Island in Hilo. And my friend, this gal I met at the time, she was like a newscaster or something. Her name was Malu Santos. And she just loved it. It spoke to her so much. And so I got to tell her finally, like, hey, I'm recording your song, finally, after all these years.
so do you only do originals?
Recording?
Yeah.
So far, yes. I mean, it's just that if I was going to do a cover, I might, that would be like a strategic move,
Or what if somebody wrote an original for you?
I mean, I can never say that I won't do something, but I haven't done it yet because that's not really what I do. You know what I mean? Like, as an indie singer-songwriter, what I do is so personal. I'm not like part of the country scene that's like, oh, we just write for other people. And that's okay. A lot of people do that. I've lived in Nashville. I've been a part of that and kind of witnessed and it's all awesome. I mean, some people write amazing songs, Just what I do is sort of personal, and yeah. So maybe I'll release a cover at some point, but we'll see. Like it's so hard because it's like so much money and time and energy has to go into each song. So it's like there's hundreds of songs that haven't been recorded of mine, and we're always writing more. There's a backlog.
I'm one of those that I prefer. There's so much music that gets played on air or in a stream or any place on the interweb that has so much play to a point where it's overplayed. Like here in Hawaii, we have 5 radio stations that really play all the updated music, but it's a constant, like every hour, that 10 after 1, this song is going to play. 10 after 2, that same song is going to play. 10 after 3, I like the idea of having fresh, original music. Music I haven't heard before. Music I have.
Yeah. The tough thing is, you kind of have to not listen to the radio. But that's why we have things like Spotify or Pandora, and you pick a song that you really love. And as much as we all love to hate on them too for like how little we make in royalties on them, the truth is, if the algorithms work right, like that's a way to discover new music. I can't say that there's not some shady shit happening around that, and that like independent artists aren't like sort of oppressed in that sense. It's hard to say that, but the truth also is that there's 100,000 songs being released every day in this industry, every day, and the ones that are going to get like the most plays in general, like those are going to be the ones that a label has like pushed $100,000 behind or something, right? So hard to compete with that. But also, I'm a believer in miracles and like and timing, right? So maybe it's true that if you write an amazing song that like it finds its way somewhere. So I like to do that as well. I certainly would not put myself into like a victim box and say, oh, I'll never, you know, I can never get anywhere unless I have a label behind me.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot about the in and outs of music as we're speaking, but I wish, unfortunately, Hawaii, especially locally, we would have radio stations that go out and seek new music. That's why for me, I love live music.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I listen to live music, live performances, a lot of times you're going to hear something new. You're going to hear something original. And for me, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. It's a new experience. It's a new feeling. It's a new, it's a whole new spiritual thing for me when I hear a new song. It's a whole new connection.
Yeah.
It's a whole new energy. It's a whole new vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I try and use Pandora sometimes, but I end up searching for a song, and if I can find it on YouTube, I'm going to play it. And if it hits me, like that song I posted of yours the other day, when it hits me in that certain place where I felt it, I share it. I haven't shared a lot of music, but then again, I like all kinds of music. One of my favorites is Korean music, Korean ballads from the 80s and from the 90s.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but in my past life, I believe I was a Korean fisherman. It was shown that I was a Korean fisherman, and I died out in the ocean.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you also have a connection to water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in this lifetime, I have a fear of water.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fear of, when I used to travel almost every day for work, flying from island to island, and then on my days off, I take a vacation, and my ex-wife and I would fly back and forth to the mainland, traveling all over the U.S., and I've always feared falling into the ocean.
Mm.
I didn't understand until I was shown why. It freaked me out. But after a long day of work for me, I like to go to the beach and recharge. Jump into Pacific and get a little salt water in the veins and recharge. There's nothing better than that.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
Good. So your fear of water doesn't extend there, because I was gonna say, you live in Hawaii, you can't be afraid of water.
I know people always say that, but you know, if I can touch ground where I am in the salt water, I'm okay. Once my toes can't touch the ground and my head's underwater, forget it. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I worked for airlines for 18 years in the airlines, traveling back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
and people used to ask, why are you traveling, or why do you fly or work for the airlines if you hate to fly, if you're afraid of flying? And I said, I learned one thing. I won't panic until I see the captain panic. When I see the captain panic, then I know it's time for me to panic. Otherwise, I think we're okay. So, we are talking tonight with Krista Herring. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your story with us. I'd like to maybe move on to something a little bit different, something we didn't talk about before. And I'm kind of picking up on that just in reading between the lines. So there is also, and it could be where that peacefulness side, the peace side comes from. Get it right. Come on. There is a spiritual side to Krista.
This is true.
And I don't know how far you wanted or how much you want to talk about it. I will start first. I was raised Catholic. I became a Christian. I became a non-Christian, and sought a different mode of help, of release. I met some other people who do non-traditional type tarot card reading, mediumship, psychics, oracle cards, and became a part of this community. I think I mentioned that to you earlier. And I found what I was looking for in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that once I started to incorporate the meditation, once I started to incorporate the journaling, once I started to incorporate crystals, which I'm still learning, but more so for me, what kicked in the last few years was my mediumship. And I've been able to give readings in several of our past podcasts to few people in our community. And there's some I didn't post because of privacy reasons. Yeah. But if you'd like, I can give you the links to a couple of them that I did do readings on them.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Even behind the scenes, I'm known to give readings to certain people in our community, and it's brought so much peace for me, so much understanding, and
beautiful,
and being able to get out of that. I call it the dry season after my divorce. Many years of it, building up of walls, emotional walls, and burning bridges, and angry at everyone. Even at God. I mean, I remember cursing God out many nights. I have recently picked up the Bible again and started reading again. Build my relationship with Him. And I understand that I can have a relationship with God, and I can have a spiritual relationship with my mediumship as a gift. Mm-hmm. And I learned to keep both in tune for me. That works for me. And that's really me in a nutshell. So I'm kind of interested what Krista does.
Oh, my spirituality is very grounded, very nature-based, very yeah, like I just really in the essence of like, what I believe or how I live my life. I hold all my beliefs lightly, by the way. Let's just say that first of all, because I actually, not a lot of people know this. I have done, maybe you have seen it, maybe not, or you would have said something about it. I have done an interview about this, a podcast interview, but I was actually in a New Age cult from 16 to 19. So I have some very interesting experiences in this life. But essentially what I've learned through all of these and through all of these experiences is it continues to be like an inward journey. It's like it's inside. And even my experiences with nowadays, like I've certainly had many readings with psychics and had experiences with mediums and such too. Beautiful. I think everyone has some sort of psychic and intuitive abilities. And I think as we journey in this life and learn more about ourselves, that we start to develop those things. So for some of us, it's intuitive knowing. For me, it looks a lot like that. I have dreams. I have dreams that tell me things sometimes, very accurate, wild. It could be like literally like earth changes that are happening on the other side of the globe. I'll have a dream about it. It could be some information about my loved ones. This has happened many times. And then there's just knowings. So that's a lot of what happens for me. And that includes, right, that's just like as we go and journey and we learn, like just to listen to ourselves. And what I was about to say before that with my journey with working with psychics and intuitives, which I continue to do. But what I have learned over the years is that the most important voice is the voice inside me. So one of my favorite mentors and teachers, intuitive, dear friend of mine, Jolie, one of the things she always says when she begins a session or when she's teaching a class or whatever is, the first thing, you need to know is that like, you're voice is the most important. If anything that I say or do does not resonate, please throw it aside, which is beautiful, which is exactly the opposite of like a cult leader, right? And so that's something that I've really taken to heart over the years, because even if I do a session with her, with somebody, you know, and something doesn't quite feel right, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I take it with a grain of salt, right? Which I think is perfect, because I think, again, like the most important thing, especially in this day and age, when we are getting information from all sides that are opposing, that are creating division outside and inside, that the most important thing we can do is to tune in to what feels right. And for me, it looks like what feels expansive and loving. You know, if I watch the news, if I watch this and I hear that like fear narrative, does that feel good? You know, or does it make me kind of spiral into that? And some people would say maybe, oh, you're hiding your head in the sand. And I really disagree with that. I think we're so powerful. I think we're so powerful, and that the energy that we create in our daily lives, and that we therefore, as energetic electromagnetic beings all connected in this world, put out there, really affects the collective, and it affects, right, just not only the immediate people around us. So so hence why I stay focused on creating and creating with my music, and whatever that looks like, and navigating my day to day. And if I am feeling tired and cranky because we're having solar storms or whatever, then I'm gonna go to bed. And I love to sleep. And that's one of the things I've learned, Luca, over the years, is like to listen to my body, the wisdom of the body. That's what I think that we're learning in this day and age, as we move away from what has been whatever, however long, of like the season of patriarchy that says push, 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 don't listen to the body, push everything down, and like push through and push forward. And this new season with the divine feminine, that's like characterizing the era that we're in, despite the death throes of the old, is that we're learning to listen. We're learning to listen more deeply to ourselves and to listen to our bodies. So I stopped doing what I used to do years ago, which was push myself too far. You know, like, oh, like, so hence I actually don't even perform out as much, because that takes a lot. That's like a lot of physical taxation on your body. And so I believe that there is a new way, like to do this industry, and to be in this industry. And so I don't do things traditionally the way a lot of people do them or have been done. And even post-pandemic, right, a lot of us are trying to figure it out anyway. How do we make money? What does this look like, you know? And I'll tell you that in the days when I used to play out all the time, almost every day, sometimes multiple gigs in a day, it was exhausting. And that there's a reason that there are hundreds of songs that I've never recorded, because I was spending all my time, totally fine, this was perfect at the time, but I was spending all my time and energy performing out. But I'm also a creator, not just like a holder of space in wherever, in whatever venue. And sometimes people are listening and sometimes they're not, and that's exhausting also. But so the beautiful thing about like where I'm at now is that I'm not pressuring myself to be a part of that old paradigm and say, well, if you do this, you should be playing out all the time. Instead of saying, you know what I love to do? I love to create. I love to write. I love to be in the studio and produce and collaborate with people and make something beautiful. And I love to release it to the world. And then the hope to the universe is that, as some songs have been, is that songs perhaps get picked up on the publishing side, that, you know, that you sell a song, that you license a song. And some of them have been for years. Some of the ones you like, Shine and Are You Ready, from that Shine EP, like those are out in like TV land. And Guardians is actually on a Christian movie called Undeserved. And so that one's done really well. and I continue to get Shazams bizarrely from all over the world. Like it'll be like, oh, suddenly there's 36 Shazams today in Brazil. Like it's hilarious. You're like, what's going on there?
That's
Maybe
a
a
good thing,
tiny
though, right?
tour in Brazil.
So not to interrupt you in any way, there is a gentleman here, KKF musician. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
Kamaka.
Hi,
He is a
KK.
singer from Hawaii.
Ah,
He
hello
was our
there.
guest at one time.
Beautiful.
He's got a
Thank you for
beautiful
joining
voice.
us.
Yeah, I sent our group, our community, one of the songs that you recorded that actually were on YouTube, and I shared it with Kamaka because he's a singer as well. Very well known here in Hawaii. Oh, beautiful voice. Man's got a beautiful voice.
Aloha.
But I thought from one musician to another might be a good thing to share. Um, I like it. I do understand everything you're saying. I do understand and feel exactly where you're at. Um, I was trying to ask my guides to help me understand how to find this grounding, this peacefulness that you have. We go through so much in our daily lives: friends, family, work, bills, finances, um, you name it. Life can be messy. I think we said that earlier. Can be really messy sometimes. And part of, I think, a lot of us who didn't have that guidance as we were growing up from the generation before us. I'm going to solve all your problems for you. This is how you solve all your problems and have it work. But again, problems 10, 20, 30 years ago is not the same as the problems we have today. Not the magnitude of it, anyway.
Not at all.
Problems from 10, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, is way different from the problems that we face today. So I think one of the things I talked to you about with my court the last couple of days, talk about messy, it's messy. Talk about emotional, it's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
I go from the high end of, okay, I think we're going to find this resolution to the, oh no, I got to deal with this crap again. I struggle to find that balance. I struggle to find that meditation won't help me at that point. My mind is already at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the reason why I was led to your profile to find out who Krista is was me asking my guides, I need to find some peace in my life. I've forgotten what that felt like. I think at one point I knew what that was. I had such a peace, an inner peace with myself. I didn't struggle with self-esteem. I didn't struggle with the fear of not presenting my best. But along the way, I've met some great people.
Mm-hmm.
Now today, yourself, understanding that, okay, the universe is saying, we're going to help you. We're going to show you how you can find that peace, that grounded that you've been asking for. And I believe that's where our connection is, or why our connection was put together.
Beautiful, yes. And I would just say that it's really good to remember that we are in unprecedented times. I believe this. I believe that there hasn't been a time like this on the planet. So these are the times.
Yeah.
I think we're going through what we call the apocalypse, but what I have understood the apocalypse to mean is the removal of the veil between heaven and earth. So it's not a destruction and a thing, well, some things are being destroyed, right? Our egos are being destroyed.
Right.
things are having to be destroyed on the planet, such as the ways the power hungry, the ways, the inequalities, the ways in which things are have been being run, the things that have been hidden in the shadows. So of course that's coming to light. And so not only, obviously, and I know you know this, that not only is it happening in the collective, but it's happening in our internal lives, in our day-to-day lives. Yep. So what it is so much for me is about being gentle with myself, loving myself like my little child, you know, like I said, like, okay, like, looks like we need a nap. We need a pattern interrupt. You know what I mean? Like, all right,
oh, I like that.
You're
pattern
spinning out. You're thinking you're not worthy. You're thinking, how can I, you know what I mean? The fears come up, and they just do for all of us, right? Yeah. And so I just think it's so good. The beautiful thing about like the internet and like the way that we're connected in this day and age is that we can share things like this, and then we don't feel alone. And then we don't go, oh, it's because back in the day, right? Like I used to think maybe, oh, something's wrong with me. You know what I mean? But now I can go, I can realize that I'm actually really intuitive, and my body is really intuitive. And sometimes I feel things in the collective, and I process the collective, whatever it is. I just know this about myself. I know that I feel the solar flares, and I can know from like, you know, hindsight, go, gosh, what's going on with me today? You know, I'm exhausted, or I'm tired and wired. I can't sleep, but I'm exhausted and I can't do anything. I can't get out of bed. And then I find out, oh, we had an X-class solar flare, things like that. So that's also what I mean, like unprecedented times. The sun is changing. Our cells are changing. The planet is changing. These are the things that I believe. And so I just think we have to be gentle with ourselves and allow this sort of cellular evolution to happen, and know that sometimes like we're in the womb, like sometimes we need to rest and allow. And what I've noticed is that things come in waves. There's that association with water again. But things come in waves, and so I apologize, I'm cold, so I'm shivering.
That's all right.
Things come in waves, so it might be like, and they're faster and faster than they've ever been, but it'll be like, oh, today I'm exhausted and I can't get out of bed, but I know that means tomorrow I'll be fine and I'll feel lighter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. And I like how you say, okay, I need a pattern interruption. It's time to take a rest. I call it an adult nap, but I like your version better.
And there are, yes, Peacock, I like that. The cellular evolution. There are also things we can do. I've been trained in like elemental medicine as like a spiritual midwife, to help not only like birth myself through the process, but help other people birth through the process of this like amazing soul birth of this new planet that's happening. And so, you know, there are just like little skills that we learn, that I've learned, that like are really helpful. You know, of course I like to take my naps, or I like to, nature is a huge grounder for me. You know what I mean? You're so lucky you're in Hawaii. You can take your shoes off and go play on the beach and ground and let some of that electromagnetic energy and inflammation go into the earth and be recharged. There are things we can do, like legs up the wall pose for 15 to 20 minutes, hacks the vagus nerve, totally resets. There are a lot of other things we can do as well. But yeah, so it's just good to know. It's like, it's a journey of self-care in a time where perhaps when we were raised, we weren't taught about self-care. So we've had to learn that not only am I worthy of self-care, but it's absolutely like vital to my survival as a human being, that I take care of myself. And part of that is learning boundaries and being able to say no to things, even if you're an empath, even if you're like me, like an overgiver, like you don't like to say the word no. I've had to learn over the years to be like, no, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that will take too much for me. And still I, it's still hard, right? It's a process.
Oh yeah. I've been a people pleaser for many years, and even within my own family, the help. Okay, just tell me when you need help. Just hey, just let me know when you need help. And okay, I need help. And then let's see, okay, I need help again. And then, okay, I need help again. And then it becomes, their problems become my problem. Because I don't have enough with the problems I have, I'm going to take on your problems now. And because I was a people pleaser,
Right.
it was difficult for me to say, no, I don't think that's going to work. So in 2022, I started to do things a little bit differently for myself. Instead of meditating in one spot, like on my bed or on the floor, I'd go out in my backyard, I'd plant my feet in the grass,
Nice.
and I meditate there.
Yeah.
And I do it before I have my morning coffee, if I'm having coffee. I
Smart.
come out and I journal, and when I'm done journaling and I'm done my prayers or whatever I need to do for that morning, my routine, only then I reward myself with a cup of coffee.
Beautiful. I could go back to some of those practices.
But I just started that in 2022, and it's really made a difference for me. Even the way I think now is different. When people ask me, my family asks me, hey, I need you to help me with this, and I can't pay you for it. And I tell them, I'm sorry, but my time is valuable. So if we can work on some kind of agreement where it doesn't necessarily have to be money, it could be something else. It could be something else I might need help with. Mm-hmm. We can do it that way. Even exchange, if you will, of energies. Mm-hmm. And they don't seem to get it. And so I say no. After years of saying, yes, okay, I will, yes, I'm there, and to hear no from me now, it's difficult for them to understand.
Yeah.
They think, you're not the same person. You're not the same guy. I don't like who you are now. And I had to remind them, it's okay. I like who I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I am not, I don't think I was born to be or shaped in a manner of what you think is acceptable for me to be. Mm-hmm. For me, no is an answer as well. It's not always yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful lesson. Yeah. And it's hard for those of us who are empaths and helpers by nature, but sort of like that's what we're learning now. I think that's our biggest lesson, sort of that we only have so much to give, you know what I mean? And we just have to be aware of that. And if we feel like expansive and it feels like a yes, wonderful. And then if we don't have that, it's okay to say no. And it's true, like these constellations of people in our lives who we have groups that we are a part of, our families, whatnot. If you have close ties to them, they expect you to show up in a certain way, and then they don't like that when you change. I actually have always had sort of like a distant relationship, interestingly, with my family, and I love my family. But it's really interesting because it allows me to grow and become who I am without like an expectation, of somebody being like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. There's pros and cons to all of it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I do find it really interesting. Yeah, that happens not to be one of the paths that I've had to follow, but there have been times where, I've had to let go of friendships or things like that. Just be like, it's just time to retire that. Like, if our friendship involves me showing up in a particular way that only serves you, but you can't be there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what is so awesome for me personally this year is I was able to share this with both of my sons. So after my divorce, they moved to Maui with their mom. And we did not have the best relationship, my ex and I. We still don't. Um, and at some point, I wasn't the father I should be. I should have been my two sons, and it really took a toll on the three of us in our own ways. And this last couple of years, that this journey that I've been going through, this spiritual journey that I've been going through, I've been sharing with both of my sons, and they have really taken a liking to some of the things, like my morning routines when I meditate. So I would go outside and I look, and my oldest son is with me, and we're sitting outside in the grass, and he's just chilling. He doesn't know what to do, but he's sitting there quiet. And then my younger son wants to ask about, so Dad, as a medium, when you see a spirit, blah, 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 how does it work for you? So I give them a meaning that they understand. But for me, it's a validation of I'm on the right track with my spiritual journey, because now it's aligning me and my sons to come together, back together, to reconnect in a spiritual way.
Mm-hmm.
And for Christmas, I had given them crystal bracelets, each, different crystals, and oh, they loved it. My older son, yeah, see, those are really, really, I saw that.
Yeah, lots of babies.
Very nice. I had given them for Christmas as a Christmas gift, and they didn't understand at first. And with that, I wrote a letter of what each crystal represents, or what it's used for. It's known use for, but the reason why they're having this particular bracelet with this particular crystal from me. And a little something about where my journey is, where I'm at right now. And it was something that they both cherished. They wear every time they can. I've asked them not to go take it out and beat it up every day. It's not that kind of a bracelet. But on special events, when they go out, when they have special functions, even my oldest son said, Dad, I'm going to use it when I graduate from college. So I have my oldest son graduating from college in about a month from Arizona. Yes. Kind of makes you realize, man, I'm getting a little bit old. I'm getting up there in the OARP community. Yes. See, we won't talk about that.
We're ageless.
Yes. I like that. So I know you had connections with Hawaii. You have you ever lived in Hawaii?
I have not lived in Hawaii. My sister lives on the Big Island. My mom owns property there. I saw my mom's here. Yeah, as you know, my grandfather and that whole side of the family is from Maui, originally from Okinawa. And no, I've been there many times. My dad used to live out in Maui as well. And I would just go out there and hippie it around and travel.
Yeah, Maui would be the island to go hippie around, not Honolulu, not Oahu.
My older auntie there used to say, "What are you doing?" I used to go out and stay at a hostel and hitchhike places, and my old Japanese aunties thought I was crazy. I'm alive. God knows how I'm alive. Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, those are good times. Those are good memories, you know. It's a different part of life, but it's good memories.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also like smaller town thing too, I think.
Yeah.
I've lived in Ashland, Oregon, and I used to pick up hitchhikers, which sounds crazy, but nowadays I wouldn't. Out here, I'm not in any small towns, and things are different. Things feel different nowadays. I don't know, but there's a lot more like flexibility. But
very, very free spirited. I like that.
Yeah, my mom would probably agree.
I know you said your mom's here. Hi, Mom, if you're still here, welcome. So kind of, I don't know if this is coming out from you or I'm intentionally tapping in, but I'm kind of feeling or sensing some of your energy. And we've already talked about, I've mentioned it a few times, about how peaceful and silent your energy feels. Because there are a lot of people whose energies are just, I mean, it's so jumbled, it's a mess. And if I'm around people like that, I can't. I have to kind of walk, I have to step away. I don't like crowds. I cannot do funerals. Those I can't. Just the energy, the whole vibe is just not for me. But the energy I'm feeling from you is, of course, that stillness, that peacefulness, that free spirit, which we just talked about, but also an independent person where you can pick up and go and be here today, pick up and go and be here tomorrow, pick up and here. And the whole time by doing that, you're still here centered and grounded. I think that's amazing. I think that's really amazing. I don't know. It's new for me. It's new for me, Krista.
Oh, it's a process. It's my own process. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean I don't have my days. Yeah, I just
I'm sure.
have learned.
I'm sure.
And you know what, Luca? Like one of the things that we talked about, and one of the things about like first about self-care for me, and what that looks like, and honestly is like, and this connection to water that I have that extends to tears. So sometimes there's some days you just need to cry. So what happens is we walk around, men especially, you know what I mean, just of a certain generation and trained not to feel and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm a man and I'm from that generation.
Walk around with this heaviness, you know, they don't know how to feel.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel safe. I'm somehow like very comfortable with it, but I'm familiar with the space of the in between right before, like before the dam breaks. Actually, my last song right before this one that we just released. So in February 22nd, I released a song called The River, and it's absolutely about that. It's like the storm. I used some like Southern rhetoric around it, like it's coming to flood. I wrote that one in Muscle Shoals, but like the storm is coming and the dam is about to break. And sometimes that's really the hardest part, is right before the dam breaks, right before. It's like, I'm not ready, I don't know, but honestly, that's the hardest part. And once I cry, once I sit down with my guitar or whatever and let that come through, and once the tears flow, I feel so much lighter. The tears in the creation too. So, you know, someone may not like be making music, they may write. I think journaling is incredible. I wish I still journaled in journals. I now write on my phone. I feel like if I have to write now, I'm like, that hurts. That one sentence. These muscles are not ready. So anyway, but I just think it's important for, yes, beautiful, for people to find something that helps them process through. So maybe it's just writing, you know, something that where it's not avoidant, right? Something other than like going to the bar, you know. But nature.
I don't. Do you see that? I don't need to go to the bar. You see that behind me?
What's that? I don't see. Oh, is that liquor?
Yeah, I'm a whiskey kind of guy, so I got whiskey behind me.
Beautiful.
But yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I mean, that generation of, you know, boys don't cry, men don't cry. You're a man, you don't cry. That's what we were taught. And it was what my dad was taught. And it was what my grandfather was taught.
Mm-hmm.
And it trickled down to me. And when it came to the point growing up, when I was a young boy, I was a crybaby. I used to cry to my dad all the time. Some of it was fake. Some of it, I just wanted attention so my brother wouldn't keep beating me up, and I would go cry to my dad, and my dad would, you know, you're a boy, you got to stop your crying. You can't be crying all the time. It was that generation. And when I became a father, one of the conversations I had with their mother was, I don't want to do things the same way generations before me did. I don't want to discipline my kids with heavy hands. I believe a hand is made to cuddle or hold or love. I don't want to be the type of father that is, or parent that is always, nothing is good enough for me. You did that, that's still not good enough. You go back and do it this way, you know? So it's one of the things that was very conscientious about when I had my first son was not to, or to break that tradition or the generations traditions, to break it. And it was hard. Sometimes I found myself falling back on that, and then it became natural. I moved away from home as well, so I didn't have my family around me, and it gave me a chance to actually grow up. It gave me a chance to bloom. I had my first child when I was 30, believe it or not, 30. I've been told that's way too late, and like, no, you don't know my family. This is right on time for us. That's not too late. But when we would come home to Honolulu and we bring my kids, and I see my dad or my mom, or you know, they would come back to that same style of parenting when we were growing up. I had to have that conversation with them. So look, I don't treat them like that. I don't talk to them like that. So I'm going to expect the same from you. And it was hard for them.
Yeah.
Because I was the only child in the family out of four. I was the only child that they had that said, enough, done, stop. And they didn't understand. All my family thought I was the asshole. I was the guy who thought he was too good for everybody else, brings his kids over here. Don't scold my children. Don't yell at my children. Well, yeah, don't. I don't even do that.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of being the black sheep, right? You change the patterns. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, changing the patterns. Really like that. You know, Krista, is there anything else you think you would like to share with us? I want to be mindful of your time. I know it is a few hours later for you.
Bedtime.
Yeah, I want to be mindful of that. I can see you holding back on the yawn, so for those of you who...
And shivering in the cold because it's snowing outside. What is this? In Alabama, where I was last year this time, which is so funny. Yeah, it's in the 80s. Everything is lush and blooming and growing, and we're just having a snowstorm here in Colorado, but soon it's going to be spring and gorgeous. So yeah.
It's I tell you, it's nature's one thing we can't change is nature. One thing we can't predict is nature, I tell you.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Those who are joined us tonight, those of you who popped in a little bit earlier from our community, our guest tonight is Krista Herring, a singer-songwriter. She has roots in Hawaii, and I think that's where we connected, was at Roots here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it was the word "cuz" on your message to me. I was like, wait a minute, that's something only a local would say.
Little secret, my dad always says to me when he texts me, "Aloha, cuz," and I'm like, what? I'm your child.
Yeah, I know it's a thing. I mean, the last few years, it's been one of those things. What's up, cuz? How you, cuz? You know, it's part of the, and it's made its way into the pidgin language or pidgin English language dictionary.
Yeah.
Cuz. Which has two meanings, of course. But Krista Herring, if you're not following her on Instagram, Krista Herring Music, please do so while you're there. Check out the link. I believe she has a link to, what was it? Linktree in your bio?
Yeah, in my bio there's a link, and on the link tree there's all sorts of things, like links to the new songs, to Spotify, to Pandora, to Bandcamp where you can support. And yeah, so thank you. Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
Not to mention your YouTube channel. Also, go check out our YouTube
Yes,
channel.
I'm
I
glad you're giving that
you
love.
will not regret it. You will not regret it. Check out her YouTube channel. She's got some beautiful original songs. The duets I love, of course. I have my 3 favorites and I have it on repeat that I play when I'm doing my chores around the house or when I'm popping in my car. I was like, all right, got to put this on Bluetooth. I love it. It brings me to a calm state of mind. I love that.
Oh,
Thank you for creating that kind of music. Thank you for creating that type of energy, that type of vibe. Okay, so my partner, Jade Tiger, wants to ask you. Okay, go ahead. You can answer.
What Jade Tiger? What is her name?
Grizz.
Grizz. Hi, Grizz. So I'm a Leo with an Aquarius rising and an Aries moon, and every planet in my chart that is involved in work and communication is in water sign. So hence that connection to water. I mean, have you noticed how many of my songs are water themed?
Duh.
It's really kind of a joke.
I looked at the video you sent me yesterday. I was like, there's the water. She incorporated the water. I get it. Yeah. And I didn't think to ask, okay, what astrological sign are you? Because I didn't think that was something that you maybe believed in. But I started to understand all these. So it was like you pulling back the curtain and a little bit at a time for me to look behind me. There's the Wizard of Oz. I see it. I got it. I knew she had a major water sign is what she's saying.
Now, if you go into Vedic astrology, I think I'm actually a Cancer in Vedic with a Pisces moon. And Grizz, I also was raised by Pisces, so mom's a Pisces, sister's a Pisces, so there is a lot of Pisces energy, I've been told, right?
Nice.
I think that sort of makes sense, actually. But
nice. So I am a Gemini sun.
That's why we talk well together. I love Geminis. They make me talk a lot.
Yeah, the one half of the Gemini. Be mindful of the other half of the Gemini, okay?
Oh, trust me, I know.
But I do have a Gemini sun, Pisces moon, and Sagittarius rising.
Oh, beautiful. Very interesting. Yeah.
I'll have to show you. I had a friend of mine who is going to be a guest coming up next month. She did my birth chart, and she tried to explain to me. And it was like I was listening in Hungarian, and then in Latin, and then in full-blown Turkish. And it's like words and terminology I didn't even understand. But all I know is it's a pretty chart with some colored lines, and it's got circles inside of it, and little pretty like icons in different places. That's all I know. But it's cool.
Yeah.
I tried to take notes, and then I stopped because I didn't understand what the hell she was saying, and I knew if I tried to write it down, I would be spelling every word wrong. Right. So I stopped.
Right.
And so instead, I just collected the video, and I watched the video over and over.
Yeah. You know what I think about it, too, is like, I know some people are like, adamantly, one of my best friends and loves of my life does not believe in astrology, and I won't talk about that, but and all of that is totally fine, and I just sort of think like, I take everything with a grain of salt, and I just find it very accurate, but I also find that like the purpose of it is literally to help us, like what you're talking about earlier, to help us understand and love ourselves more, to say, oh, I see, like maybe I have like a little bit of, maybe this is a blind spot for me. Okay, keep my eye out for that. Not to say this is who you are, because I don't believe that. I believe we absolutely have free will and evolution, but yeah, these tools, right? Tools. There's so many tools to help us navigate learning to love ourselves more.
Absolutely. There's so much more we can talk about. maybe we can have you come back at another time as our guest. We can talk a little bit more about that. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for spending a little bit of our time with us, sharing your knowledge, sharing your music, sharing your aloha with our community. My partner, Jade Tiger, if you're not following her, please do so as well. Our YouTube channel, The Only Elephant in the Room, where you find this replay coming up in probably a couple of days. Make sure you go follow Krista on her Instagram, Krista on YouTube as well. I know you mentioned Facebook. I didn't want to bring it up. I wanted you to bring it up just in case. If you wanted to look for her on Facebook as well, please do
You guys
so.
have so much homework. So much homework.
I tell you, we're going to be tested tomorrow. I tell you.
I'll be watching.
Krista. Oh no, I'm gonna go into hermit mode now. But thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. Thank you for the music you create. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for being here and taking a little bit of your sleep time with us tonight. I do appreciate that so much.
Honor. Yeah. Thank you, Luca.
We'll talk
Thank you, Greg.
again soon.
Okay. All right. Have a wonderful night.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining.